and let's go get it. So what's up, everybody? How's everybody been? It's been a couple of days. Yeah, we got a lot of things going on in the world. Let me roll my sleeves up. See, ain't nothing under my sleeves. We're gonna do a magic trick today. It's called I'ma change a whole bunch of people's minds from being blind out there in the world and not seeing the truth. Because, see, this is what I do. I allow you to see the truth because a lot of people out there would like to tell you the lies. So we're going to uncover all these lies and all these disgusting, terrible things that people do. Like, what is up with that our boy from not Facebook, but the other guy, you know who I'm talking about, releasing the ticks and all that. I'm going to tell you about that later. I'll let you know who it is. I believe it's the owner of the computer company, Bill Gates. Yeah, so Bill Gates releasing these ticks that kind of like a biological weapon. Is it about that? What's going on? It's about the tick. So basically, it's the tick activity and the centers of Bill Gates in there. Maybe this is just something I had seen. It might be false. It says Bill Gates has not released the ticks in the U.S. Viral claims suggest he bred and released genetic modified ticks to cause red meat allergies, alpha-gal syndrome, or to promote plant-based diet, widely debunked or based conspiracy. Go right on here. We got our first conspiracy theory debunked. So, Larry, why'd you do it? You told me the earth was flat. You told me that we had to watch out for the flying saucers. And the only flying saucers I've ever seen is when my old lady's throwing them at me. Let's do something that's on somebody's mind right now. This 74-year-old woman, she goes into a Tim Hortons. She goes in there, something wrong with my order. You know, she went through the drive-thru first. And she gets to screaming at him, and next thing you know, they're fighting. She throws a blow. I got to give it up for her. She's 74. Big girl. She went in there and she busts one of them right in the mouth, and they get to fight and has a heart attack and dies. Of how when that role was reversed, because this is on like ABC, Wild World, you know, all the news outlets and everything else. But this 77-year-old white man who died because he went into a similar establishment a black guy was working at, right? I'm not going to make any excuses for him. And he called him several times, and he was real belligerent. I don't know, maybe he was having a type of mental health crisis or something like that. But for a person to go into an establishment and just start calling people niggas. And I don't condone anybody's behavior doing that, but the man died because he knocked the shit out of the 77-year-old man and he fell and hit his head and died. Well, at his hearing, the judge went super light on slap on the wrist, gave him house arrest, and said, the reason why I'm going so light in the case of manslaughter here is because that guy provoked in the worst word in the English language. And I'm thinking to myself, well, damn, okay, that's funny because, you know, I've seen a lot of people walk away, and then I've seen a lot of people who have been brutally beaten, shot, killed, stabbed, punched, wounded. If you're white, don't run around in front of black people saying the N-word. Wait till they walk away like I do. It's like the Debo syndrome thing, you know? Yeah, you tell me to be quiet, I'll be quiet. You walk away, I'll be saying what the hell I want to say. Regardless, I think it's wrong. I think both cases are wrong, but I see the disparaging thing is that one wasn't covered and the other one just kind of like, oh my God, it's breaking news. Another white person kills a black person. Well, she kind of deserved it. She went in there after it, knowing she had a bad heart, knowing that, you know, it was probably just a mix up. And people make mistakes. Nobody's going to get it perfect. I can understand you're probably having a bad day or a bad morning. You get a wrong donut or you get your coffee wrong. And you go in there and you raise a bunch of hell and you smack somebody up in the face and then you guys start fighting. Because I don't care. Once you hit somebody, then, you know, that's an assault. But I'm not sure. In some states, I know they can charge you with a hate crime if you call somebody the N-word. I mean, I graded so much that the word just doesn't have any meaning to me anymore. I mean, like I said a lot of times before, back when I was growing up, you know, I was a thug and a gangster. I was a different type of breed of nigga. I even wrote a song about it, you know, when I'm a new breed of nigga. We are all Americans now, and I want to put that in red lettering across the page. We are all Americans now. Slavery has been over for many years. It's time to leave that shit alone and move forward. Because let me tell you one thing. I was looking up some statistics, and it said that roughly over 1,000 killed every day. A lot of them probably by gunshots. Boom, getting plugged. And a lot of them die naturally. This is just a statistic that I seen that over 1,000 die every day, right? But there are 1,300 born every day. So that gives you a surplus of a plus 300. So your percentage will slowly grow, right? But compared to what? If you compare it to white people, us being right around 50% or 56% or something like that, we're growing at right around the same pace. So it's going to stay the same. But now you have to take that extra 300 black people, look deep into that 300. Now, 300 of those people are more than likely to be born, let's say 40 to 50% of those people, and this is statistics out of those 300, 40 to 50% of them are born without fathers in the home and don't have that stability and are born with several other brothers and sisters and are getting state assistance. So that's roughly right around 60%. So if you take 60%, that leaves only roughly about 40% of the 300, which, is roughly maybe 100 or so, a day of black people that are born without having to deal with all the hardships to try to climb up out of the holes that the government and especially the Democratic people have put you in. I haven't done nothing to you. My neighbor hasn't done nothing to you. The people who have done the most to you in your life is the Democratic Party. They are the ones that enslaved you. They are the ones that wanted to keep slavery. My race of people, the people where I'm from, they bled and they died to free you. And on these great lands you call the United States of America, they helped to free slavery. And so to be disrespectful to anybody that has done that for you, is just a big slap in the face to my ancestors. So to your ancestors, to my ancestors, let's just stop the hate and let's call it even right now. Let's be dying, the white man dying. Let's say, hey, it's even. There's no need to be up in arms about it. There's no need to burn down some cities. There's no need to do another Rodney King or a George Floyd. Nobody was hurt besides the family of the people that died because they both made mistakes that they shouldn't have made. And I recognize that. I hope you recognize that. So I just want to tell you that, the N-word, it does mean a lot to you guys because, obviously it came from slavery. Do you believe that every slave owner used that term? Oh, well, this is his N-I-G-G-I. What is the difference if I say the word or if I spell the word? Because what would be the difference in this? What if I came up to you and I said, you know what? You're a dirty N-I-G-G-E-R. And I spelt it instead of saying it. What if I said it in French? What if I said it in Italian? What if I said it in Spanish? Ain't no damn difference if I spell it or if I say it. I just watched a Mike Tyson comedy thing with Theo Von. Theo Von was doing his podcast, and Mike Tyson was urging Theo Von to say, I'm a nigger lover. And Theo Von, you could tell he didn't want to do it, but it's Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's, he's getting off of that because and that's what sociopaths do. They get off on watching people squirm, and you can tell Mike Tyson is one of the racist people probably out there in the world because he's always used the terminology. It's like, yeah, that white motherfucker. And even though if it wasn't for that white person in his life, he wouldn't be who he is because he's a convicted rapist, for one. He's an adulteress. He's all the bad things that you could think of. And that kind of stuff doesn't go away. It's a sickness that lives with you forever. Well, all you can do is fight off those urges. He ain't fixed. He might be sober, but he ain't fixed from being the rapist that he is, the killer that he is, the person that would rob you, steal from you, and then stick around and help you look for your wallet after he hit it. He's the same guy. And I love Mike Tyson, don't get me wrong. But he's a low down, dirty, rotten fool. Because what he did to Theo Von is he basically put him in a spot to say that. Now, ain't nobody really coming down on Theo Von for doing it, but I'm telling you, white people, don't be the black man's puppet. We ain't puppets. Ain't nobody sticking your hand up my ass making me say nothing. I'm going to say what the hell I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it, and ain't 13% of shit going to stop me. Because if it's a civil war that you want, you ain't going to like that. Because I know a lot of your boys down in Chicago and Memphis, yeah, you got some hard-ass fools out there, but don't get the retarded redneck revolution started. The RRR, the retarded redneck revolution is ready to go at any point. We got guns lined up, grenades, missile launchers. We got the whole United States Army. Because guess who's a part of the retarded redneck revolution? Proud Boys, the whole system of things. MAGA, the president of the United States of America. And you ain't gonna change my mind that he ain't, because I know that he is. And I'm doing this in the name of comedy. I'm not being serious. I want any war. I want peace. I'm a God-fearing man. I would love everybody to get along. But that's just not the world that we live in. But I'm not going to walk down the street being afraid. And I don't want you to be afraid anymore. If you're able to go get a license to carry, go get a license to carry. Stay strapped up. Protect your family. Don't be such a pussy. And another thing, you can still love God and still hate the devil. And anything that comes to that part and wants to tell people, yeah, say that you're covered so I can get my rocks off right here. Go watch the video. You can see him just, like he was nutting in his 505s. You know what I'm saying? It's disgusting. But I still love you, Mike. Because I know who you are. I know that if I was ever around you, I would keep you at arm's length like a lot of people do, because you're a type of person, just like I caught you in a lie, too. You said your ass never smoked crack, and that's a lie. It's either you or Steve-O is lying. Steve-O said he went to your house, and you took a pack of Newports, and you started putting the cocaine in the Newports and smoking the cocaine. And if you didn't smoke cocaine, which is basically the same thing as crack, maybe you didn't know what the hell you were doing. I think, you probably done a lot of drugs, but you're trying to create this image, and you're trying to get people to love you, which people do because they see the vulnerability in you, but they also see the demon in you too. I see it in you because I got that same demon, that same big giant monkey, that gorilla, King Kong, that's sitting on my back every day. He's got a straw stuck in my ear, sucking out my common sense, whispering, hey, you won't get high today. You got that number in your phone that you said you were going to delete, but you didn't. How come? Yeah, you miss it? You want to start beaming up Scotty at a party, getting butted and blitz, waking up the next morning with scabs on your lips? Yeah, we can do that, can't we? Wake up with no money, with your shit stuck together like this. Hey, you got another 20? No, we don't want to do that. Been there, done that, ruined our lives, and we're just now coming out of those deep waters. We're in the shallows now. We're in the shallows now. We're in the shallows now. So we can breathe a little air. So now of all that, we can see clearly now that the dope is gone. All those Negroes are out of my way. That's selling that shit that'll take all your money and leave you looking like a big fat dummy. I told you it's going to get better. You just had to stick around for a while. Grown folks out here going crazy. Were you guys feeling it, or am I feeling it, or am I fooling myself? I must be, but that's what I'm talking about. It's such a groovy beat. We got to be able to move our feet, yeah. Anyway, we're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff here. It is the morning show, so I hope you got your coffee ready. Hope you're feeling good today. You got your common sense is tight and right, and if it ain't white, it ain't right. Remember. So we're not racist. No. We ain't racist. We're an opportunistic person. My best friend in the whole world. He's a black man. I love him to death. I do anything for him. I have several other black that who mean the world to me, and we all grew up together, as a family. And I'll tell you a story, and this is a story a lot of people might know, but a while ago when I turned 15, I went to a New Year's party. But it's an interesting story. I went to a party with this cat named Max. Shout out Max Colby. I hope you're doing well out there, Max Colby, my brother. And I hope the whole Kobe family's doing well. I remember Scott Kobe. I shout him out too. I remember he had punched somebody one time talking about all these fights. I don't know if he was a black guy or a white guy, but he hit him so hard, he knocked him unconscious and he fell and he hit his head on the pavement. It was outside a bar fight, right? And and the guy died like 3 days later. And they found him guilty of manslaughter and he served like 5 years in prison for it. So every time that you're thinking, you're Billy Badass and you want to go out and you want to punch somebody or hurt somebody, always remember that, people are fragile, and some of us can't take a shot. Like I've punched some people and they couldn't take a shot and they fell down and started shaking. And I was like, oh, shit, I done killed the guy, and you got to be really worried about that because you never know if somebody's got a weak chin, you knock them out and they fall, hit their head, they die. You're going to miss the party. And nobody wants to miss the party. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, it was a cousin of Scott Kobe and a boyfriend of my best friend, Richard. That's how I met the guy. But he took me to a party. This was 1990 to be exact because it was New Year's. It was 80. It was at midnight. It became 1990. But anyway, that was funny about the ticks. I was all ready to go off about them damn ticks to come find out it was a hoax. And that's why I do a live show, so I can experience the live reaction of what I'm going through at the same time. So if I would have just been like, yeah, these ticks, that, this and that, and then I would have found out, I had to come back and be like, yeah, disregard what I said about that whole thing. That whole thing was crap. At least now we're watching it together. Yes, and Bill Gates, he did not release no ticks. So everybody that's talking about that, ticks are bad, and they're always bad around here, around this area of Michigan. So I always treat my animals and everything else. So anyhow, I was with Max and a good friend Porky, and we decided to go rob this house. And the house that we were gonna go, we weren't gonna rob it. We were just gonna go to the party. And while we were at the party, it was after 12 o'clock when we got there. People were kind of calming down, so we just helped ourselves and got a drink. Was drinking a little bit, and next thing I know, they're coming up to me and they're saying, "Yeah, Mac, he's found a bunch of guns and they want you to go outside and help him." Well, we went upstairs and looked at all the shit, went through a bunch of stuff, and like I told you in the prior stream, we ended up robbing this house for like $46,000 worth of stuff that the guy could claim on the insurance. Some of this stuff was just priceless. I don't know if he got some of the stuff back or whatever, but what the story is that after the fact, I was basically, I wasn't busted, but they knew it was my son, who was about 18, 19 years old. Like I said, I had just turned 15 in 1990. By the time they had caught me, I was in jail. I don't know when that fight was, but I remember I was in juvie and it had happened, and I was arrested for the crime that they charged me with at, I think it was 14, because the guy had brought in a tape of the Mike Tyson fight where he lost to Buster Douglas, and we were able to watch that while we were in juvie, and that's what kind of sparked my interest in boxing. So if I definitely had one then from 1990 on. So what happened was this guy, he would constantly hunt for me because he wanted to kill me, because during that robbery, what had happened was they had this mausoleum thing in a room with his sister, who had passed away from a car accident at a young age. And they had a picture, and then they had like a cross, and then a picture frame behind, candles all around it, kind of like how people do to light a candle, but the whole room for her. And on that cross was a gold chain, so I grabbed the gold chain and, it was gold. So I put it in my pocket, and that was like one of the worst things that I could do. If I could apologize to these people now for it, I wish I could make it right. It haunts me to this day that I did that to somebody. And I think a lot of the reasons why we drink and we do the things that we do in addiction is because we get buried in it. We get buried in this self-shame and this self-hatred. I don't know what you call it, this guilt, this shame that overwhelms us, and we don't feel it when we're drinking. It takes it away. The alcohol numbs it so we can deal with it. And also, if you was to see me when I was drinking, I'd be a totally different person. I'm more funnier. I'm more laid back. I can, I'm just learning how to be me without using the drug. So because I relied on it so much, like I would tell people, I can't play pool sober because I learned to play pool in the bar when I was drinking. From the time I was able to be in the bar shooting pool, that's the only way I could do it is when I was drinking. So I can't play when I'm sober. I don't know if it's nerves or whatever, but I used to say that. But I haven't played pool in a long time, so I haven't checked it. I remember playing when I was in prison a lot, and I got really good. But my eyesight's gotten a lot worse over the years. I think that's been a big factor. If I had glasses on, it'd probably be a lot better because I'd know I was shooting at. But other than that, that whole robbery, costing people a lot. He ended up catching, and I was walking down the street, this crack, and then I hear, boom, and then another crack, boom. But this time it got closer. He was literally driving down the road out the driver's side window, shooting at me. So I immediately, when I look back, I see his hand out the window and something shiny. It was strange because it happened twice. The bullets had whizzed by my head just a couple of times. I'm so lucky I'm not dead right now, and that by the grace of God, I survived that attack. The bullets whizzed by, and then I took off, and I ran up in between two houses, and then ducked through and kind of lost him. But he was yelling out the window, "You mother, I'm gonna kill you, you damn it." It was all over his sister because I had confronted him when I went to court because I had to testify against Scott or Shane Colby because I was in a foster home. Basically, they brainwashed, say that I was brainwashed or whatever, but I just wanted to do the right thing, and I was young, and yeah, I did. I testified that I was in this robbery, and this is what happened. I just told the truth. What happened, and let the chips may fall where they fall. He was an adult. I was a kid. Whatever he's guilty of, he needs to face as a man, just as I would have too. I have to ask myself, would I still have just kept my mouth shut and not said anything? Maybe, but maybe not. I don't know because I've been in situations like that before. So that's basically what happened. And they would come in and look for me. I took a dresser and I left the top drawer in it. And then the 4 bottom drawers, I knocked off the dresser parts and I tacked on to the dresser. So whenever they came, I'd hide in the dresser and then just have somebody push me back to the wall and I'd hide in there. And then the top drawer would be open a little bit with some clothes sticking out of it. It'd be perfect. And through like a little crack coming, "Oh, no, you ain't in here, clear, you're clear." And then I'd hear, the fucking dogs couldn't even tell where the fuck I was. They were so stupid. But anyway, that happened like 3 or 4 times. And then finally I had called and I said, I don't have anybody that I can possibly turn. I don't know anyone, as a matter of fact. And they're like, "Okay, well, just turn yourself in." So I finally was there and I turned myself in and I went to jail and I ended up doing like 11 months in the jail and I got like 3 or 2 years probation. Yeah, that was a crazy time. But in that time, I had that whole business and then doing 11 months in the county jail. I'll tell you what, I had a nice little hustle in the jail where it was right around the times when you remember the old dusty ass blankets that they had came out with, the ones that were just kind of like one color before they had like the different little colored lines in it. They were a little bit thicker. We were getting in bags of those, and I had like 12,000 stamps, just from my prior prison experience. As soon as they made me a jail trustee, kind of clicked in, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm right here at home. You want anything? I'm your man." I was selling so much, and finally they came, and somebody started snitching on me. So I gave these totes of all this shit to my next door neighbor because in the trustee wing, it was one room, about 4 or 5 of them. But I saved, a stack of envelopes, paid envelopes like this. And when he came in, he said, "Well, where are these from?" I was like, "Just draw them. People give me envelopes." And he says, "No, bullshit. Pack your shit up. You're getting busted." I didn't get no good time in Osceola County Jail anyway, so I didn't really give a shit. But I ended up getting married while on trustee in the jail. Believe it or not, I got married to Melissa Trongo while on work. this I was with the Jehovah's Witnesses. I was studying with them. I like the Jehovah's Witness people. They're great people, but their whole thing of believing in this Jehovah God and all this other thing is just ludicrous. I got to take just 1 second. Just give me 1 second here. Yeah, I did. I did chest yesterday, and oh my God, I did abs, and I have this one ab that just, I don't know how it is. I'm leaning off, but this chair's, I'm going to try this right here. See, I can't sit like this, be comfortable, but yeah, my chest is super sore, and my ab is like, hurts like a son of a gun. But yeah, so religion itself is just so crazy. I just can't follow it, you know? So like I said, it's important for me that I have a higher power, you know, somebody who I can talk to and I can look up to say, hey, please help me in this time, and pray to. And I just pray this to God, you know, and that's it. I don't belong to any church, and I'm not telling you to church. But if you do your research about it, see where it's from, where it came from. There's two churches that were from the beginning of time, and that was basically the Catholic Church, you know, which was Hebrew and Greek scriptures, King James Version, stuff like that. And then you have the Orthodox Christians, you know, and they kind of branched off. So all these branches, once these two split from each other, once the Catholics split from the Protestants, you know, and said, we're not following the Pope. This guy here, he started his own church, and all these other churches popped up. You understand how that goes? And then the tree, it just goes on and on and on. And then you sprinkle in the Latter-day Saints, Jehovah's Witnesses, and all the other crazy cults and all that. And you got just a mess of a bunch of people following a lot of things and using only one particular thing. Like the Jehovah's Witness, they are so caught up on the word Jehovah because they figured out, oh my God, you know what? Look, Johnny, we figured out what God's name is. Because if you take Yahweh and you do this to Yeehaw and Hoo-ah, you get Yeehaw. And oh my God, it's Jehovah. I'm like, okay, buddy, let's go. Jehovah. Go knock on some doors and pioneer and say, God is king and save Jerusalem and, you know, all this other stuff. I don't care how you do it. If you're a good person, obviously the good Lord is going to understand. He's going to open his arms and bring you into his bosom, they say, and you will suckle on the nectar of heaven, and you will live eternally in a life of gold, and the snake will lay with the lamb, and there will be no death and pain, and everything will be like it was supposed to on a new earth. Because it does say in Revelation that there will be a new heaven and a new earth. So if everybody goes to heaven, who's the ones going to be on the new earth? So that is confusing. So a lot of things are confusing, but I figured it out. That's one thing that I'll just say that I don't like to really get deep into. I don't want this show to become political, and I don't want it to become religious, but I do sprinkle in a little bit of both here and there, especially on a Thursday, and it's okay. I don't know if this will let me share it or not, but I just wanted to show you. This is something that I seen on the internet this morning, and it was kind of pretty sad and made me mad too the same way, because this guy right here, he's a lawyer. You know, he's walking with the cane. He's kind of an old fella, but he was using the N-word in court for context. And this is how the black people treat him as he came out of the courthouse, in the courthouse. Yeah, for some reason, I kept getting this same little lag. I don't know. It won't let me share too much. I don't know if it's my internet or what, but basically you get the gist of it. He was saying, you know, you ain't going to say the N-word in front of me now. And nor was he doing that in front of somebody anywhere. He was using it in court, and it would be up to the judge to tell him to stop saying that. But he's using it in court in front of a judge. So if a judge didn't find anything wrong with it, who are you to go up and threaten say to him, you know, say it in front of me now, because I'll smack you so hard my ancestors hear it, you know? And then you seen a big buff black guy in the background of that shot. He was filming it, and that's disgusting to me. Like, instead of and that's one of the problems that I have with the black community. It's like, no, you'd rather film your brothers and sisters being a bunch of idiots for clicks and views than you would to help them. You know, and that's where the problem lies, is in the community. If your community was to get together and try to build something great, you guys could build something so beautiful. You would never have to worry about racism or anything alike. You'd be highly respected, because right now, as a community, black people are not respected by a lot of different races. You'd be surprised to listen to what the Mexicans have to say. You know, and the Mexicans are like 20% they make up 20% of the United States of America, where black people make up 13%. And Chinese people or Asian people make up right around, I think it's 7%. I think it's that low. So, you don't go around just constantly causing problems, with just last week it was a bunch of black people and they were mob bombing a mall and doing some crazy stuff. And it's just people are just so sick of it. It's just like black fatigue is just so real in the world right now that people are just tired of it. You got to just start acting normal like a regular American. You don't have every right that everyone else has. What more would make black people happy? Because we know reparations wouldn't fix anything. Because I believe if reparations were paid, which it would be unjust, because then you'd have to give everybody reparations. You'd have to give everyone that suffered in the Civil War reparations, and it would ball of bullshit. So my thing would be that I'd want to see people come together, your community members, start to do more to promote good things in your community and to get rid of all this negativity that's going on. Help build each other up, instead of all this horse shit that everybody has to be stuck on. It's like they're stuck on stupid. Like racism doesn't matter. You won't ever experience slavery. Your grandparents, or your parents probably never experienced slavery. Yeah, I understand there's systemic racism in everything. White people feel it just as well as black people. It's a struggle out there for everyone. Maybe it's a little bit harder. That means you just need to work a little bit more. But I don't know. I don't know the philosophy of the game, and I didn't write it. All I'm doing is just trying to live my life and trying to tell people that, we're sick and tired of hearing all the negativity all the time, and we'd like things to be positive, but y'all making it hard. So maybe we should try to sit back and say, look, maybe we need to come to a meeting where we all can say, like, all right, you believe in one thing, I believe in another thing, but let's just try to get along for the sake of the United States of America. As Americans, as both being born in America, you're just as much of as an American as me. It just so happened that you have a darker pigment. You're going to bleed the same. You're going to die the same. From dust you came, to ashes to dust. I mean, it's the factor of it. You might look a little different, but that's it. And like I said, a lot of people are experiencing this black fatigue, and it's even in your own community with your own people. So I was thinking like, oh, that's just a word that's just made up by Uncle Toms and people like that. But no, it's the truth. People are really getting sick of it. So it's time for some change. It's time for the elders in your community to start helping the black community and straightening these kids out and straightening these people out. Because like I said, 1,000 people every day die, but only 1,300 are born. Eventually, if you keep on going down this road, you'll become extinct, and there'll be no such thing as a black American any longer. So be aware and take care. Okay, we're going to get to some news that'll give you the blues. How's everybody doing anyway? If you're just tuning in, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We're going to be talking some bullshit all day. So go grab yourself a coffee. If you want to take a break, I'm going to grab some tea. I'm getting kind of thirsty. And we're going to be right back in about 2 minutes. So let's play a little commercial. Pimping this stuff unless they gave me this stuff right here ain't bad. It's got 15 grams of protein in it, and it's just like a little water. And I don't know if you've ever tried this, but this is Bloom Pop. The wifey drinks this stuff, so she left it open. So, because it's in Drink Bloom. Now send me a check, you. Yeah, that tastes like it is. Sour, bitter. I give it a solid 7. It's not the best I've ever had, but we'll see how. I took some vitamins today, some apple cider vinegar kind of gummies or whatever, try to see if they straightened out my stomach at all, because ever since I did a cleanse like Kaopete, I don't know if I ever told you this, but back in the day, I had this problem where I had swallowed a jawbreaker. I almost died in my stomach. I'll tell you the story. So when I was a kid, I got this jawbreaker. So when I was young, my dad bought me a gobstopper, right? And it's one that has all the different colors in it. When you lick it, it'll change to a different color. So I had this sucker, and I was working on him for, a few days, and I got it down to kind of a small size. I'd have it all day long just till it was like sore from licking it. I'd set it on my nightstand at night, and one day my dad's like, let's go to Burger King. We're like, yay, Burger King. As y'all know, rest in peace, a little bro, he took his own life back due to, drugs, meth, and all this other crazy stuff. That's why I hate drugs. I hate what they do to people. They ruin families. And I feel sorry for his family, to have to go through all that, and ours as well. And if you're ever in that type of trouble where you want to end it, make sure you let somebody know. And if you want, you can always let me know, email me, or contact me here. We could talk. If you just need somebody to talk to, I'm always here looking for somebody to talk to. So just make sure you like and subscribe. And I can be to talk you off the cliff if you need to. So anyway, get back to the story. It's basically, I did this jawbreaker thing, and as we were going to Burger King, it was slippery out, and my brother had called front seat, so he was sitting in the front, and I was in the back like this, and I had a jawbreaker in my mouth, and somebody kind of tried to cut us off, and my dad slammed on the brakes, and as he slammed on the brakes, the jawbreaker got stuck in my throat, and I was like a big-ass lump like this in my throat, and I'm like, trying to breathe, and I'm like, freaking out. And by the time he could get the car pulled over and grab me by the throat, and at first he tried the way it wasn't coming out, and I'm turning all kinds of blues and reds and purples and shit. And he just squeezed my throat and kind of its way down to right here, and it got stuck like right here. And I could just feel it like all day, like working its way down to where when I went to barely eat, but I finished like a Happy Meal or something like that. I can't remember exactly what we ate that day, but I remember after that I was kind of fine because that kind of pushed it into my stomach. And then everything was cool. Later that night, we ended up having pizza, and it was about the next day I started getting pains and had to take a shit. And I just toilet, man, for like an hour, man. Trying to shit this fucking jawbreaker out. Nothing would come out but water. I know it's disgusting, but I could not poop. And eventually I just said, fuck it. And I just went to school and had like a school lunch and came home dinner. Well, I woke up the next day with a bad fever, and the shit was kind of killing me. I was starting to go like septic or something. So I went to the emergency room, and the room gave me a bunch of some sprays and all this other stuff to put up there. And I used the sprays, still tried, couldn't do it. But they also gave me laxatives. And the laxative just made it worse. So my stomach is just killing me. I mean, I got the ball like right at the end of the road, you know what I mean? But shit just won't go, and it's starting to rip and tear and destroy shit. And I'm just like, oh man. So finally go to back to the doctor again, and they do x-rays, and this time they see exactly where it is. And the doctor's like, get up on the table, son. And I'm like, okay. And I get up on the table, and I'm on all fours. And we come in wearing this yellow suit with a hood on it, and he's got it zipped up, glasses. And he's got this thing with this little trigger. And on the end of it's got a little thing like this, And the nurse is kind of standing behind him, and I'm on the little table, does to bend over and start pushing as hard as I can. And I swear to you, from all that pressure, all those laxatives, all the things that I had to pop and put 2 Mentos in that bitch. He reached in there with that claw, got it, and I pushed, and that thing was like, boop, and the whole wall and out the back, and I'm like, and I'm all over everything. I look back, and the nurse is like, she's covered in shit. The doctor's like, oh boy, oh my God. My mom's trying to catch the damn ball that's bouncing on the floor that just came out of my head. It was a fucking hilarious story. I mean, the thing's bouncing, boom, ding, ding, dong. And it was just white as could be, too. It was crazy. Done licked all the acid, done ate it all the way down to the white. But yeah, that's the gumball story. So ever since then, I kind of have constipation problems throughout my life. Well, my go-to is like, milk and magnesia here and there. Maybe once a month I might take it, but I took it on Monday, and everything was cool. I just had to, clean the fucking toilet a couple times. It was pretty bad. But back to regular again and back doing good. But I thought I had told that story on Monday, right? but I do not recall it ever recording. So maybe, I don't know what's going on, if I had missed it or got lost. So I'm retelling the story over. If I retold the story over, I apologize. Just like some stories that I do tell over and over and over and over. I want to get to some news that'll give you the blues and kind of get this wrapped up. I do have graduation today. It's graduation for Beth's son. He's finally graduating. He didn't get all of his bands because he didn't do his sophomore year. Was he homeschooled here? No. I don't have the patience to teach myself, let alone somebody else. So what we're going to talk about, I got a lot of hate. So now I'm a gun-owning Republican. Well, if that's what you want to do, that's what you're going to get. So you got to be careful out there, because there's always some crazy people out there, like what they did to Charlie Kirk. It was terrible what they did to him. And, you know, the jokes like what Pete Davidson are doing and all that stuff, and the jokes that people are doing about his wife and his family. You know, he's got kids and a family. You know, some people need to let shit live and stop making jokes out of everything. But that's your business. You know, talking about how superficial Erica Kirk is. I agree with you. She is superficial, but she did lose her husband, whether she was in on it or not, or whatever's going on there. I don't know. I don't like to speculate. I can only imagine in this world. Nothing surprises me these days. It's like the trash that people have going on is just institutionally type insane shit. You know, like you should be in a place where they give you Thorazine 3 times a day, put a helmet on you, and give you a drip cup to say, I hope you win it. You know, like I said, I don't know the guy personally. I don't know what he's about. I did see him on Joe Rogan. He would say something and he would just go, yup, yep. Yeah, yep, I agree. Yeah, so anybody could do that. I don't know if politics is something that's going to be for him, but I mean, it's just the mayor, you know. I mean, how hard is it to be mayor of California, or, you know, those particular spots in Los Angeles? So, what it says here is that Spencer Pratt says he became a Republican because he received a ton of death threats. And as a reality star, he decided to align himself with the party that supports gun ownership. The former star of The Hills, Angeles, sat down for an interview Thursday on CNN with anchor Alex Mitchelson, who asked Spencer why he's a Republican. Why? Because that's what I choose to be. I hate when people ask people what they're affiliated with, whether they're Republican or whatever. It's just kind of like a tightrope. I mean, there's no right answer there. If he just says he was a Democrat, then they'd have been like, oh, you're this and that. If you're, you know, I just said, I'm just a regular concerned citizen wanting to make my county or whatever the hell he's mayoring better. So it's ludicrous to me. But Spencer Pratt, Jesus Christ, is my political guiding light. You know, I mean, he looks so different. It's just crazy from when he was on The Hills and his marriage with the one lady. I can't remember what her name is, but y'all will let me know, I'm sure. So Tiffany Haddish, she scores legal field sobriety test thrown out of her Georgia DUI case. So that's pretty good for her. Looks like they'll probably be dropping that soon then, if because I don't see how they can convict her of DUI without that. So they could probably offer some, but anyway, it seems like a lot of that's happening, As far as the primaries, it's looking like a big prediction for the GOP, and we're out of here. This is Grownfolks, and before we lose connection, we're out of here. Grownfolks, and we're out. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.